All right, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. What day is it? Hump day. It is a hump day for sure. I am fighting it this morning. Big show we got. NBA, we got LeBron James with another triple-double. What does that mean, the MVP conversation? I'm curious to get yours. NFL is at the halfway point, so we're going to break down the NFL. But the college football world takes center stage. But first, the U is back.
Yeah.
I have to say that, part of our wager that I lost.
I don't have to qualify it. Just say it.
No, I want to make sure anybody that's listening is making
unnecessary.
Sure. I don't want to lose all credibility as a college football analyst if I'm out here. People are tuning in for the first time to Kanell Bell, maybe considering subscribing on Apple iTunes. You make sure you still go do that and leave us a 5-star review. They're probably like, what the heck? This guy's out of his mind.
You is back.
You is back. That is right. After basically firing Willie Taggart as well. Like you got the 2-for-1 special.
Some of those memes are kind of funny. Like some of those are funny. Right?
Yeah.
Even as a Florida State fan, you have to admit some of those are pretty creative and kind of funny.
They're definitely funny. I felt bad because I had a lot of people saying, I sent out a tweet when Willie Taggart got fired, and I said, I feel bad for him and his family. I feel bad for the players. And the immediate response that most people said, well, he's got $20 million. And I'm like, and I was trying to defend it for a second. I'm like, he still has a family. Like, money doesn't matter. But then I was like, he still has $20 million.
He still got $20 million.
Like, you can do a lot with that type of money. But that's just a side note that I kind of noticed from that game. I am fighting it big time. 2 kids now down in the household with like this bug. It's some sort of flu virus. They're not sick, thankfully, because if I see somebody throwing up, I'm done.
Right.
Forget it. So they're just sleeping all day with fevers. It's now kid number 2 is on it. I am fighting it with everything. My wife's got me taking all these homeopathic remedies. I'm staying away from them. So hopefully it doesn't affect the show either.
I got 1 kid down.
You do have
one? And last night my wife and I had the conversation about, like, is it worth it to let his, like, the brother that's closest in age to him just go ahead and get it now?
Right?
That's get it now, get him through it.
I have a rare weekend off this weekend. Yeah. I like to work. I like what I do. I don't want to, like, have to cancel trips and cancel work. Like, I had the same thought. I don't have anything going on this weekend. Like, maybe I should just go in there and start snuggling with them. But I hate being sick, so I'm going to start fighting it. I was like, I thought you were going to say, is it worth it to get a hotel room? No. Like, just stay somewhere else for a week. But I travel enough as I do. I can't do that anytime soon. All right. The college football world, we did have the tip-off for college basketball, but at the halfway point of those 2 games last night, you did see the college football playoff rankings released by the selection committee. A couple things I just want to warn people, because you will see fan bases get all upset. You'll see some fans think you figure out. You will never figure out the committee. You just won't. It's human beings. They can change their mind as they have done in the past. They have a lot of turnover on the committee. It's 13 people, but they roll off every couple years. So you might think, hey, I know what they're different people. So they're going to have different values, different things they look at, and things that matter to them. So let's react to some of their first ones, all that being taken into consideration. I do think there are some things you could look at from this committee and take away from it. Number 1, and this is different than the AP poll, they have Ohio State number 1, LSU number 2, that is flip-flopped in the AP. They have Alabama 3, they have Penn State 4, and they have Clemson 5. So Clemson is lower than they are in the AP Top 25. Penn State was a surprise, jumping over them. My 2 initial responses were LSU should have been 1 if you went on resume.
Yep.
They have more impressive wins over Texas, over Florida, over Auburn than anything that Ohio State has done.
Correct.
So that tells me that the committee, and they reference this, Rob Mullins, who's the chair, and he's the one who does this, he's the spokesperson this year. He said, we have been impressed with how dominant Ohio State has been. If you want to go with that, that's fine, but then you are telling me that you value the eye test, who you think is the better team, more than the actual resume, which bothers me somewhat because we are wrong all the time in who we think are the better teams.
Well, I mean,
what I mean?
You're talking out of both sides of your neck here if you're the committee, right? Like,
right, which
out of
they
both
do
sides
all the
of your
time.
mouth. Like you're using different sets of standards and to figure out who's 1 and 2 than you are for figuring out who's 3 and 4. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You've used a different set of standards, and so that's what becomes frustrating about the polls for me. Do you know? Like ultimately, do I sit here and know the ins and outs of college football or pretend to? No. But that bothers me. All I want is consistency. Like, with rules, with people, just be consistent. And I feel like that committee sets themselves up and they set a standard with something like this for being able to do whatever they want to do at the end of the day.
They always do.
Yeah.
And the way I hate our playoff system. I hate the way college football determines a champion because it's inexact, it's subjective. You're getting people in a room who they think is the better team. I don't mind if you reference the eye test if there is a razor thin margin or their resumes look really, really similar.
Mm-hmm.
LSU, hands down, has a more impressive body of work than Ohio State. At this point in the game, I don't think you can say, well, Ohio State just looks better.
Right.
Because how do we know what Ohio State would have done against LSU's schedule, playing against those tougher opponents? And how do we know LSU what they would do with Ohio State's schedule? Because I think LSU would be rolling just as much as Ohio State has against their schedule. Like if you flip-flop them.
Absolutely.
So at this point, I don't think you can say, you know what, Ohio State, we just think they're better. I think you have to rely on the resume.
Right.
And you should because, again, we can break down teams. We can think they're good. But you have to go what teams have actually done on the field. And then as a last resort, use the eye test. But clearly the committee this year, they're saying, you know what, we like Ohio State. We've seen what they've done, and we're impressed by it. And I think that's a dangerous, slippery slope that you go down.
I mean, basically they're telling you, listen, deal with it. Like, sit back. We're going to do what we do. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. We're going to take you on it.
Exactly.
But here's what's interesting to me. Like, you're going to tell me you think Penn State on the eyeball test is better than Clemson?
Right.
I'm not throwing any shade at Penn State.
No, they're a good team.
But they're a good team. You can tell me your eyeball test says that they're better than Clemson right now. I would challenge that. And also, I think it's hilarious that Bama and Clemson, right? Mm-hmm. While strength of like wins, Bama is 4, Clemson is 8. So I get that. That's not huge. It's not a huge deal.
Right.
Both of their only wins against a team really of any significance is A&M.
Right.
Right. And the spread was about the same.
Yep.
And you use that to like crucify Clemson.
Right.
And you're using it to support an argument for Bama being in the top 3. Like, do you know? It's just.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't love that consistency. Again, give me consistency.
You won't find it, and that's what I would caution. That, and it's supposed to be good for the sport, like controversy, and it creates conversation or creates buzz. It drives me batty because you look at it and you're like, well, what the heck are we doing here? And it's hard to get a beat on it. We're trying to figure out consistency. Even coaches who are surveyed by reporters that cover college football say they don't understand how the team is selected. And that's a problem because you don't. Every year it changes.
It's a huge problem. But you know who it's not going to be a problem for this year? It's going to be Clemson. Like if I'm Clemson,
they're fine.
While I'm slightly like as a fan base and maybe some players on the team, I feel like, But if I'm Dabo and the coaches, this is perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect, right? Because I still control my own destiny.
Yep.
Right? I still get in.
Yes, if Clemson runs the table, they're in without question.
People in front of me are going to knock each other off. I still control my own destiny, and now I get to be an underdog.
Right.
Now I get to have a bulletin board
which Dabo
material.
Swinney has always used to his favor. Even last year when they were ranked number 2, going into the championship, he's still like, nobody gives us credit. Nobody, always plays that card up. Including this offseason. It was kind of speculated, well, what's he going to use? Everybody was pumping up Trevor Lawrence. They were the defending national champ. They were ranked number 1 in the preseason.
Right.
Everybody, and their schedule was a cakewalk. So everybody's like, well, what the heck's he going to do this year? Now he's got it because he already fired up. He already fired up the rest of y'all bus, which he was driving. He loves playing up that card, saying, you know what? It's Alabama and it's Ohio State and it's the rest of y'all and we're in the rest of y'all. And he's trying to make that as a point of contention. And now he's got it because he can go into his players and say, you see this? No one respects you. Nobody thinks you're any good.
I tried to tell you. You didn't believe me.
Exactly. Look. Coach them up hard and do all these things. The other thing that I noted was I think the SEC is always kind of perceived. They get the benefit of the doubt because of recent success that they are the strongest conference in college football. I thought last night, and really all season to date, I thought the Big Ten has showcased that they are the stronger conference. They're deeper. I think they both have multiple national title contenders, but I think the depth of the Big Ten and really good, solid teams is what makes them a slightly stronger conference, top to bottom, than the SEC this year.
So you think their bottom teams are better than the SEC
I do.
bottom teams?
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Like a team like Indiana, who's not ranked, they should be ranked, are better. That's a better team than, Ole Miss or some of the middle of the road teams that,
fair.
have been there. But, I just think they're deeper.
Well, but let's do the top 25, right?
Right.
Big Ten has 6
exactly
people on that. SEC has 5.
Exactly.
Right?
Now, the SEC fans say we have more higher ranked teams.
Oh.
But it's a combination. It's got to be everything.
Yeah.
It's got to be top to bottom. You can't just cherry pick and say, well, Bama and LSU are better. And now
the Big Ten has the number 1 team.
Exactly.
And the number 4 team.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think any way you look at it, I think the Big Ten made a really strong showing in the original rankings that came out. Since we're around the midway point, you do see Ohio State there as the number 1 team. Historically, the Heisman Trophy has gone to best player on the best team with impressive stats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say it's the best quarterback on the best team. You have seen a couple running backs have won it in the last 15 years. You haven't seen a defensive player has won it since Charles Woodson won it from Michigan. That was unique, though, because he was returning kicks. He was taking some snaps on offense. He was scoring some touchdowns. Although I do think there is a sliver of a chance, which I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the season. I don't think I would have said it in many other years. For Chase Young, the defensive lineman for Ohio State, who is crushing it, right? He is absolutely destroying opposing offense. Leads the country in sacks with 13.5. Second in the country in forced fumbles. He has been the best player on the number 1 team currently in the country. And there's a lot of conversation about him, which I do think matters. It is a
buzz.
It is a PR.
Buzz is a real thing.
Absolutely, it matters. I think and the other thing too, Justin Fields came in with some fanfare, but not a ton. And it's him and J.K. Dobbins on the offensive side of the ball are kind of splitting the attention there.
Right.
Everyone's talking about Chase Young. I think if he has an impressive game against Michigan, and I'm talking sacks, forced fumbles, maybe somehow he gets a fumble recovery in the end zone, I think he could win it.
Look, if ifs was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Yes.
It's not happening. All right, it's going to a quarterback this year.
Yeah.
It's going to a quarterback. I think it's a great story. I, in the past, have kind of lobbied for some more attention for defensive players to kind of be on the board. Like, I always have a soft spot for defense, you know what I mean? But the reality of this award in particular is that it's about numbers, it's about stats, it's about, things that you can throw up there, and that's going to be a quarterback at the end of the day.
All right, here's how the guys that are ahead of him, according to Vegas, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Tua, are the 3 quarterbacks that are favored ahead of him, which I would agree with. Mm-hmm. You could see, let's say Burrow gets beat this
Justin
weekend.
Fields is going to jump him.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
I don't think he will.
All right, keep
going.
going.
Let me give you. So Joe Burrow could get beat this weekend.
Okay.
I think that could potentially do him in. Because if they get beat in, that probably means that Burrow is struggling.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts, I don't think has a chance. He already kind of had a loss. I don't think Oklahoma's as good as they were last year. So let's just assume they lose another game. Or they're a 2-loss team that wins.
Dealing in a lot of ifs, dog.
We are.
All
we
right,
are.
Here we go.
Let's say Tua loses to Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Yep.
Boom. Out. That's the perfect storm.
And you've assumed
now,
that
granted,
Ohio State is
a lot of assumptions.
You've assumed that Ohio State is unscathed in this process, right? They've continued to win, and that he continues to just barn burn in terms of stats.
Yes.
And Justin
We're
Fields,
making a lot of assumptions.
And in all of these wins, Justin Fields is just barely pedestrian.
Yes. I was trying to give you the hypothetical of how Chase Young could be.
I got it. Okay. All right.
Value play.
I think I've wrapped my mind around that.
I might throw a couple bucks on him because of the buzz.
Right.
Because
the buzz is real.
The
buzz is
going
real.
out there. I would put a couple. I think he absolutely goes to New York. I don't think he wins it. I mean, if you ask me straight up, I don't think he wins. I'm telling you, Joe Burrow, I think, is going to win it. And I think he does have a strong performance this weekend. Lastly, on college football, last thing I want to wrap up was Florida State. We've talked a lot about it. The coaching search is one that I've been a little bit nervous about.
Yep.
I don't like the way Florida State handled Willie Taggart. I don't like the timing of it when it occurred. I thought, what's the danger in letting him play it out? But the fan base makes me nervous because you become vulnerable in this spot, and, man, you latch on to rumors, speculation, and it drives me nuts. It happens with every other fan base. Florida State's new to this, right? We haven't had many coaching searches. And it came out the other day, Bob Stoops, and it was a official news organization. It was a local Tallahassee television station that said, sources tell us it's close to a done deal. Even had Kendall Briles there and Jim Leavitt. They had all these details. Florida State fans were telling me, because I was like, don't believe it. Florida State fans are, no, I have sources. It's done. It's done. I will say this. David Coburn, kudos to him, came out within 24 hours and said, nope, don't buy it. He wasn't in town. He did an interview. He's on our list. Yes, we're going to go after him. Bob Stoops is not going to be the head coach at Florida State. I'll tell you point blank. He is not going to be the next coach at Florida State. So Florida State fans, take a deep breath. Wait for your excitement until you see the coach at the press conference. I'll just say that. Don't get in chat rooms. Don't buy into them. Don't say this would be great. Don't do it. At every single fan base, it ends up disappointed because you have these pipe dreams of guys you think could happen. They usually don't. So wait for the announcement.
I'm telling you, man. And I when there's structurally something wrong, and I do believe that it starts at the top with situations like that when things kind of fall apart and a place has been good for a long time and now it's not what it used to be. Same with Miami.
Right.
Those jobs aren't nearly as appealing as the fan bases think they are.
Right.
The big name type of guys.
Urban Meyer.
Not nearly as appealing. Right. So you're going to have to go through a search and you're going to have to find the right guy to come in and once to get, roll up the sleeve, get his hands dirty and build it back up.
Right. Now, Mark Stoops, I think there's a chance, realistic chance that he could be the next. He was a defense coordinator at Florida State, had success in Kentucky.
Right. Yep.
I think that is a one that makes sense. If you want to speculate about that, I believe that one. Don't believe the Bob Stoops hype. All right, let's take a break. When we get back, NFL halfway point. We'll do some more predictions for the second half of the NFL season, including what Cam Newton's future might hold. All that and more next on Kanell Bell.